delightful, depending on your perspective. Let's go to the required reading. So our friends Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano right now on ESPN.com have a ton of intel on free agency and trades following the combine. And here's what they wrote about A.J. Brown. They wrote, teams have contacted the Eagles about a potential Brown trade, but word is that Philly's asking price remains too high. This lines up with what I heard about the Eagles' stance. They'd be open to the right offer, but it would have to be a really good one. They don't want to just get rid of Brown or need him off the team for any chemistry reasons. That's from, again, Graziano and Fowler on ESPN.com. That piece was from our buddy Dan. Peter, help us with this. What are you hearing about Philadelphia? What should we be expecting?
Howie Roseman's phone line is always open. Howie was only down there in Indianapolis for about 36 hours, but I will tell you that he spoke with all the agents, and you get a feel for what they're talking about. And A.J. Brown is firmly a part of the Eagles' future plans. However, this time of the year, Howie Roseman is your king wheeler dealer. So if you want to blow him over with an offer, you can certainly make the offer. But I will come on here on Monday and I will tell you after the combine, there is a lot less of a feeling that they are proactively shopping A.J. Brown. In fact, Sean Mannion's presentation to the Eagles, where he was one of 17 candidates for that offensive coordinator position, was one in which he showed cut-ups of what they could do with A.J. Brown. So I believe A.J. Brown will be an Eagle, but I will also tell you that Howie Roseman's line is always open, and if you want to offer the farm, he will listen.
I am in no way questioning the reporting, but I'm questioning whether at the end of the day this is the way this thing winds up going. I don't buy it. I mean, A.J., if we're going to look up disgruntled in the dictionary, there's going to be a picture of a wide receiver reading a book on a sideline. I know they won the Super Bowl that year, but things run their course. There's no way in the world that relationship is working. I don't care what anybody says. This is not about how good a player he is or isn't. At the end of the day, I still believe, at minimum, I believe it would be in everyone's best interest for him to start over someplace else. Tannenbaum.
Greedy, completely agree, and I'll give you two win-wins. First of all, you go to Buffalo. The owner came out and said, we are going to get another receiver. They have the 26th pick in the draft. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles and I could trade A.J. Brown for the 26th pick, I would take his money and make sure that we extend Jalen Phillips, a great trade they made last year, who played really well for them. And then go draft Omar Cooper. There's going to be a lot of receivers that could draft there. You talk about Doc connecting. How about Mike Vrabel with New England? They're desperate for an outside receiver. 31st pick in the draft. Reunite him with A.J. Brown from Tennessee. So I agree. 4 great years with the Eagles. If I'm the Eagles, I'm shifting that money from the wide receiver position to Jalen Phillips, and then I'm going to draft a receiver at the bottom of the first.
A big part of that is, what do the Eagles believe Devontae Smith is? Is he a number one? That's a big part of this, because it's a significant hole you would create in your football team as far as ability to play. Now, Devontae Smith, in the last 2 years, when A.J. Brown has not been available, 14 yards per catch, 9 yards per target, 3 yards per route. That's a number one wide receiver as far as statistical performance. There's just not a big body of work that Howie Roseman can sit there and say, I know it. There's a lot of indications that he is, but it's easier said than done. And so I understand, like, we're greater because of the subtraction thought process. That's a big hole on the football field. He is a dominant physical performer.
We have two recent things to point to in recent history. I'll go to Stephon Diggs when he was with the Minnesota Vikings. They moved on from him, and they said, with that draft pick, we will select Justin Jefferson. He was cheaper, and they thought there was a big upside.
Can I ask you a quick question in the middle of that?
Yeah.
But that wasn't a performance thing, correct?
No, that was also
chemistry.
Yeah,
yes.
Which sounds like this might be what we're talking about. The other one was A.J. Brown when he was with the Titans. They said, we'll move on, and we'll use that pick to take Treylon Burks. It's not a slam dunk that you draft a guy in the first round, and suddenly he's going to fill in for what A.J. Brown is.
I am not questioning the ability, the talent, the greatness, if you will, of A.J. Brown. They lost in the first round of the playoffs this year. He had 3 catches for 25 yards. What are we talking about?
But that's because that's why we talked about last week. Was the drop-off this past season, because it was just this past season, was it because of Kevin Patullo in that offense and the mundane element and A.J. Brown running literally the same route every single play? Or was there something else? Is A.J. not the dominant player anymore? Is the chemistry and connection with the quarterback? You hear a lot of rumors out there. Is there truth to them? That's what they have to kind of determine.
There's another axiom that applies here. I'd rather trade a player too soon than too late. He's right at 29. Probably has a couple more good years at that level. If I'm Philadelphia, the way they drafted, I understand they're not perfect. Nobody is. But there's so many good receivers in this year's draft. I would be proactive, and I would shift his money to the defense, keep that defensive line strong. And again, Devontae Smith, I know Goddard's up. Maybe they re-sign Goddard. With Saquon, that's still a really good skill group.
We live in a world right now where 5 or 6 receivers get drafted in the first round every year.
Yeah.
And you know what else happens? 5 or 6 more get drafted in the second round.
Yeah.
Right.
There
might be 20 taken in the first 3 rounds this year.
Yeah,
That's
there's
how
a
good this is.
never-ending stream with the way college football is
That's right.
of super talented wide receivers coming into the league. And you know what? The best trades are the ones that work for both sides. You don't have to try and, it doesn't have to be a winner and a loser.
Right.
This might be a deal that winds up working out well for both sides. Coming up, the San Antonio Slam, the Knicks, 80s.
What to do?
Here on ESPN
Do not
Radio,
do it.
ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance.
You're insistent
you
on
can do
being
it.
a bad teammate.
I didn't do
man.
anything.
Go
No,
ahead.
you are, man.
I didn't
ahead.
say a word.
Go ahead. I'm ready.
Talking
for
about
it.
the Miami Dolphins and Dolphins in Miami.
Love the dolphin
The little
noises there.
flipper sound is
Yep.
great.
because we were listening.
Good. That's great. I still don't understand the full scheme of a dolphin there and everything that what the characterization or the characteristics that we needed for the dolphins and the swimming. Yeah, seems
All
pretty
I know is I'm sick of this Pilates dolphin. They need to go back to the snowflake dolphin on the logo. You want to turn this thing around? Yeah, move on from Tua. Also move on from that slender, athletic-looking dolphin.
terrible.
I want snowflake.
Ozempic dolphin?
I'm sick of the Ozempic dolphin. Yes, I too am a Pilates queen. I don't want my dolphin looking lean and clean. I want the old Dolphins logo.
Oh, my God.
It's one of the sickest logos in NFL history. Like the Dan Marino era dolphin. What are we doing? I don't like the long and lean one. I want the cute one.
We always marvel at the throwback jerseys the Miami Dolphins wear in the primetime
Yes.
games with the dolphin, the old school dolphin on the helmet. They should go back to that dolphin.
I agree.
They should.
Maybe wait a year because they're going to be a disaster this year. So like when they're good again, or unless you want to do it just to distract people from them being a disaster.
Or how
Yes.
about we're moving on from Tua. This is a new era of Dolphins football, new head coach, new GM, new quarterback. We're building this thing from the ground up, and we're also moving on from this Dolphin.
Well, you
Being
said-
so bad that they changed the logo because of you is tough.
He tainted this logo so much. that we
Ruining
gotta
an
move on.
entire logo for a team.
But, I mean, that's the association, right? That particular Dolphins logo with Tua.
Yeah.
They are inextricably linked.
Well, that dolphin and just dysfunction, period.
Yeah.
Lack of success. That's what I think of.
Yeah.
It's remarkable that we're at a point now where the league year is closing in. We're done with the combine, right? We're heading into free agency. Deadline day tomorrow for franchise tag. You have to make a decision by. And you have all these offseason stories now. And we revert back to the idea that the Dolphins actually tanked for Tua. And now they're in the tank in some part because of Tua.
Yeah, they got rid of Brian Flores because he didn't tank enough to get the higher pick because they really wanted Joe Burrow.
And then he had to take on Tua when Mike Tannenbaum told the world, no, get Herbert, get Herbert, get Herbert. Anyway,
Man,
so
they messed that up.
So Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler have this great story with all of the offseason buzz coming out of the combine by way of ESPN.com. And Graz had this to say in this story. I expect Miami to release Tua by the 3rd day of the league year when $3 million of his 2027 salary would become fully guaranteed. The Dolphins will almost certainly designate him as a post-June 1 release to help defray, good word, some of the $99.2 million in dead money it will cost to release him. So basically, they're going to split it over 2 years, even though it's not evenly split. It's not 50-50. Miami could make a contract offer to quarterback Malik Willis, but that Tua dead money could also necessitate the team spending little on the position for 2026. Think about that for a second. So there is a chance that Tua actually may cost them Malik Willis as well. And they may have to release more guys. I don't know why he's rushing there. If Malik Willis is sought after, why exactly are you excited to go to the Miami Dolphins right
It's
now?
Miami, man. What are you talking about?
And with people that you know from Green Bay?
Yeah, it's, well, no, but they're on the defensive side of the ball.
Doesn't matter. They know what you can do. They believe in you, and you get to live in South Beach?
Yeah.
What if Minnesota calls?
No.
What if Minnesota calls?
I mean, if Minnesota calls, then that's a conversation.
No doubt.
I'm not sure that Minnesota's going to be in a position where they can fare much better when it comes to the kind of deal that they could offer Malik Willis because they've got some issues too. They're talking about how they have to move on from Aaron Jones and Javon Hargrave. So Minnesota's up against it when it comes to salary caps too. I think they're bottom 3 in available salary cap space. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where Malik Willis goes. But to Smalls' point, when a new regime is coming into a franchise, you know that they're going to get an extended runway to get things fixed. Now, if you're a player and those people that are in charge of this franchise going into year one came from the organization that you were a part of the last several years, and they believe in you enough to offer you a deal, then you go there because those are your people. They saw your ability up close and personal. They're giving you the contract because they say they believe in you. You want to go down there with them and be a part of what they're trying to build.
What's interesting is if I'm seeing this correctly, I think it would cost you less this year in terms of cap hit to keep him on the team than to not keep him.
Can't keep him on the team.
But you're moving on. You're starting fresh.
You can't keep him on the team.
I wouldn't keep him on the team either.
From a cultural standpoint.
that's
I'm
the
trying
point.
to build something new. My only cavil should be,
Your only cavil? Cavil, you think is a word that just slips in? If it is, and you looked up a second word today, good job by you. I'm going to say that's the word of the day.
It is the word of the day.
Okay,
Cavil is our word of the day.
Cavil. Cavil?
It means an objection that can be seen as petty or unnecessary. And I don't think focusing on culture, you only get one opportunity to make a first impression.
No doubt.
You only get one opportunity to start fresh. And do you want...
How many times have you fallen when you met people for the first time? Have you hit your head?
She
when you
made an impression.
Oh,
made
that's
an
true.
impression.
Okay, I stand corrected.
You won't forget me.
That is true.
I tripped and hurt myself. You're not going to forget that
That's
interaction.
that woman, yeah, who did that. Exactly. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you think Michael Kay forgets the first time we met?
No. And Michael Kay has said to me, ESPN New York, of course, Yankees broadcaster, he goes, Michelle fell head over heels for me. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, like, what? You're a married man. He wasn't saying that. He was saying she literally fell. It was a great line. That's why he's a great play-by-play man.
Yeah.
You fell head over heels for Michael Kay.
It's the perfect description of what happened. But if I'm Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan, and I'm trying to build a culture, and I have an opportunity to move on from this player that caused the franchise to be in the position that it is now, I'm going to do it. And I'm looking at the Broncos, and I'm looking at Russell Wilson and what the Broncos are now, and I'm thinking it's going to be lean for a couple years. And I know it's going to be lean for a couple years. And Stephen Ross knows it's going to be lean for a couple years. So why don't we just start the process now? If we are going to have a clean slate, you can't have Tua in there this year. You can't.
This was a setup to get all of this. I said what I said for this, because I wanted to point out that. You have to think about the fact that Tua was the guy they tanked for, and you guys just erupted at the thought of having him around. Think about that for a second.
Think about the stuff with leadership, about him going to the podium and saying...
That's why I would do it all this year. I would not split it over 2 years. I would sacrifice. Yeah, I would sacrifice the idea of acquiring Malik Willis. I would hope that, you know what, he's going to be fine and not a superstar. I'll deal with Quinn Ewers or whoever's available on a $10 an hour contract for me, and I'll just deal with it this year. I would do it all this year if I were them. It is in my best interest to be terrible this year. Change the logo to mask it all if you want for a year, but I would not spread it over 2 years.
See, the problem with doing it that way is that you're ignoring the fact that you have to develop a head coach at the same time as you're developing a quarterback and a culture. And your head coach is going to have something tangible to sell to the locker room as to them being on the right track and being able to have success. So if you're taking a $100 million cap hit, when the salary cap is only $300 million, that's a third of your cap.
Yeah, for 1 year.
Yeah, that means you're going to be non-competitive. It could get to a point where your head coach loses the locker room before he even has a chance to coach the damn team out of the mess that they're in.
Or, to play devil's advocate, or winning 4 games feels like winning the Super Bowl. And you actually develop the culture. There's a way of doing that.
Show me the first time head coach where that's happened.
Where you win a small amount of games and you win the locker room over?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to do the homework on
that. Yeah, but my point is, because you don't have those examples top of mind, you don't see it happen that often in the league. And that's why I think you have to try to be competitive year one with a new regime. You have to, because players, the people, the employees in the organization need something tangible to hold on to.
Okay, so let me give you this. Cam Pratt, CP3, brought up the Saints this year, which I think is a good one. They had a lot of holdovers from the year prior, defensive character guys.
The Saints won 6 games.
Right, I know. So, but I would take the same approach. Drew Aller, Penn State, go get him. Go, not in the first round. Drew Aller at some point was going to be the guy. right? Gets hurt, doesn't play well early. Franklin gets fired, not the guy anymore. Keep an eye on him, maybe past the first round.
Yeah.
Keep Quinn Ewers there, take the big cap hit this year, and move on from there. There's also one other thing with Tua. There's a little note in this story with Graz and Fowler at the end of the story where they say, keep an eye on Atlanta for Tua, which I thought was very interesting. Because one thing about Tua is we've heard all about how are the Dolphins going to pull this off. We've never heard about the destination. We've never heard about what's next.
I said the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, so Minnesota Vikings.
And y'all called me crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to still do that. But I like this.
But the reporting is that the Minnesota Vikings have 2 on the short list.
So what I like about Atlanta, potentially, when you have a lefty quarterback starter, having a lefty quarterback as a backup actually makes some sense because you don't have to change the protections, offensive line, et cetera. Could you see Tua end up with the Falcons? He's the guy that they bring in to potentially compete with Penix, who is a lefty. Maybe I'm overthinking
Good
the lefty
offensive
thing.
line, good running
think I
game,
am.
a lot of weapons. Yeah, I could see it.
Okay.
I could see it.
So there was a little note at the end of the story of there is a destination by way of reporting for Tua.
Smalls, you compared it to the Denver Broncos situation. Just remember, a couple of years ago, the Dolphins beat the Broncos 70-20.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
They beat them 70-20. Can you think about how divergent the paths have been for these 2 organizations since that moment?
It's like they used up all their points in that game.
By the way, I'm getting tweets here. Jay tweets me at Evco Radio. You can follow Smalls on all social media at Evco Radio. Dan Campbell totally changed the locker room, winning 3 games?
Yeah,
Yes,
13-1.
that's a very good example.
That's a great
So there you go.
example.
Good job, Jay, at Yarm9293.
But Dan
Deserve
Campbell
credit.
had also been an interim head coach once upon a time before.
Yeah, and Hafley's been a head coach, just not at the pro level.
But moving past that
Yeah.
season for Dan Campbell, the guys in the locker room were in.
Yeah,
they were bought
exactly.
into what was
Yeah,
happening,
yeah.
even though they didn't have on-field success.
Yeah.
By the way, Chiefs just made a move. Per Schefter, they've informed Jawan Taylor that he'll be released. He actually got
About
a head start
time.
on that. He got a head start on
about
that.
time.
He left before they actually released
About
him.
Report
time.
that himself?
He got what?
I said he didn't report that himself.
Yeah,
He's
I mean,
usually
seriously, that guy. I've never seen a guy with more false starts than that guy
That
ever
guy
in history.
stole money from the Chiefs. I mean,
We're on Sportsman, like,
Grand
presented
Theft
by
Auto
Progressive Insurance.
Stole money.
Hey, this is Rich Eisen. Coming up